till I came here.
Tekken 8. Fight! Tekken 8 was pretty fun. It's a good looking next gen game. A lot of detail, good graphics. The audio design was pretty interesting too. It was just interesting creative little choices and decisions they made. I've been playing Tekken since PS1, Tekken, at least Tekken 2. I don't remember if I ever played Tekken 1. Maybe Tekken 3. I had Tekken 4, I know I played that. Tekken 5 was my favorite, I had that too. Never played Tekken 6. Played a little bit of 7, unfortunately. I wish I played more of that. Just because, well, not now, but obviously, but it was recently the most modern, relevant Tekken game. Not of Tekken and Soul Calibur, Mortal Kombat. Never really liked Street Fighter. I played that like once in a pizza arcade a long time ago, and Street Fighter 2 or something. Had Street Fighter 5. That's this is not about Street Fighter. But it's just it's probably one of the most comparable games, which is why I bring it up, because like it's one of the more respected, bigger fighting game franchises. It's Mortal Kombat, but that's kind of like a whole separate thing. I've been playing Mortal Kombat for about just as long. But I feel like it all really began with Tekken though, because like I'd watch my cousins play Mortal Kombat when I was a lot younger. But I actually had my hands on Tekken because my stepbrother had a PS1. And it was just so cool. Like, it was very anime, very weeby. Obviously, I was very influenced by a lot of those things at such a young age for so long. And to see Tekken 8 come out today, all these years later, it's just great. Like, it's still going strong. It's still existing as a franchise and a brand, and it's not too overrated too. I feel like Tekken's always kind of like had their place. There's a little bit of a competitive scene. I don't watch too much of that, unfortunately. What I mostly watch as far as esports is like Mortal Kombat, but I don't know, I don't really like Tekken for that. I don't really like when I see good players and stuff, I think it's cool and all, but I just love playing it. It's just fun and exciting and happy, and I love the music and the characters and the lore, all the movies. You know, even the live action, the CGI stuff. It's just good. It's like everyone's kind of got their own fighting game of choice. Like what kind of they can relate to the most, and Tekken's definitely mine. Because yes, Mortal Kombat's cool because of blood. Street Fighter's very... I respect Street Fighter. I just don't like it. But I like the movies and all that. The anime. Tekken's got an anime too, I almost forgot about that. They got a couple. I don't... just fighting games are fun. I just always liked that it was you and your opponent, that was it. But when I started playing, it was me versus my stepbrother. It was like versing real people. Like if that were right next to you, there wasn't any online or any of that, but I don't know, it's just always a good time. You can't really go wrong. There's also Injustice, I guess. There's a lot of other games out there, Bloody Roar. Killer Instinct look kind of cool. Dragon Ball Z Fighters. There's even some I don't really mess with at all, like Grand Blue or something, and Skullgirls, whatever else is floating out there. There's a lot of fighting games, but I mean, they're kind of just out there and they exist. Tekken is like so right where it needs to be. It's doing well, it's going strong. I mean, I grew up with it. You know, if someone made me play Mortal Kombat or Tekken, it'd be Tekken easily every single time. Japan, Japanese. It just kind of works in that way. The thing with Mortal Kombat and most of those other things, you know, they're out there and they're a thing, but they're kind of hard to like really relate to because it's just kind of its own thing. Mortal Kombat's the bloodiest and goriest fighting game you're ever gonna play. That's its thing. Tekken, I wouldn't even say it really has a thing. It's just it's kind of the definition of what I think any fighting game should be. It's just perfect. There's what, Virtual Fighter, King of Fighters, like, it's ridiculous. And now you played Bloody Roar as well, that was fun back in the day. But the thing with all these games is that it's just not just something anybody can put on and casually play and have a good time. It's a game for everybody. Like, anybody can just jump in, there's not a whole lot you have to learn. You can just kick and punch, button mash. And it makes you feel good too, because you win, because like the rounds are short, the life bars are short, it goes by pretty quick. You either do well or you don't. It's kind of 50-50 to be fair, but I feel like in Mortal Kombat there might, I would say, be a little bit more skill involved and kind of situational awareness and special movesets and this and that. Yeah, with Tekken there's like 10 button, 20 button long combos, but like, I mean, that's for the people who just love Tekken, like the pure fans, which I can totally get behind. But I just play it for fun, just casual. Just kind of hop in and play my favorite characters and check out the content. I've always been a Yoshimitsu main, basically. I just love his sword, and he's like a ninja samurai demon oni thing. His movesets are really fun. The pogo helicopter and the pogo sword stick thing, and just all his, he's just so fun to play. And I love all his designs throughout the games, like all his different designs. But I also like Jin, Devil Jin, Kazuya. Law's always been kind of fun. I don't mind Paul. Horror Wing can be okay. There's a lot of I love everybody. Jayu, Kuma, Mokujin. I guess Ogre, True Ogre. There's so many. Lee, Dragunov, all the classics. Obviously there's Nina and Anna. A lot of the characters, Jack, I feel like they're kind of there. They don't all stand out to me, but when you look at them as a collective bundle, a roster, they just fit together so well. King, I always like King. I'm definitely more into like the kind of cooler characters, I guess, like the ones that just kind of stand out to me the most, the more darker characters, I guess, or just have more edge or flair style to them. But they're all fun. Christy, Eddie, whoever else is out there. There's so many, like, it's not even worth even trying to name off. It's fun to do though, that's the thing, it's just fun. It's not even, It doesn't take itself seriously, and it's goofy as hell. It's got the comedy relief, which I think most things are pretty good at, even Mortal Kombat, but at least here it just makes the most sense and really fits into the universe and the world that it creates. Yeah, the cutscenes are cool.
ラース司令、まもなくオペレーションライトニングを開始します。
三島平八が消えてから半年、ようやく掴んだチャンスだ。ああ、今日こそ世界の敵を撃つ。
When I started playing, I wasn't really expecting a full-on story like what it gave us. Because usually fighting games, to be fair, are pretty bad at I mean, there's a lot of character development, but it's either like a half-ass, you know, it's just pictures with some minor dialogue in it, or some 10-second long cutscenes or whatever. But this was a full-on story. I think that was pretty sweet. Because I feel like fighting games are catching on to the fact that, like, people don't just play this for fighting and going online and multiplayer, PvP. Like, there's a lot of people that like a good story, and they like fighting games, and they like Tekken. And I just think it's kind of a requirement now. And that's what makes the anime so fun, is because that's exactly what it is. It's just a nice, fun fighting movie, basically. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of sweet. Very high production value, AAA all the way. I had some problems with the audio though. It's just kind of hard to get it the way I want, but that's kind of whatever. But yeah, it was good. It was fun. The story itself was, you know, pretty long. Obviously, it's like most things when it kind of just jumps from one thing to another. So it's hard to follow, but that's just Tekken. Like, there's this going on, there's that, who knows half the time. Family drama, problems. It's the same story every single time. It's nothing new. Heihachi, Raven, blah blah blah, this and that. It's kind of nice to see some new characters. At least from what I know of. I don't know like every single character ever, obviously. I'm not even sure what the new ones are here in 8 versus... I think there's like one guaranteed new one. But supposedly a lot of these people were in previous games as well. I just didn't know, because I didn't play all of them. I used to play Tekken Tag 2. Maybe 1. I actually played Tekken Tag 2 in the arcade as well. But it wasn't at an arcade, it was an arcade box, but it was at like this really local movie theater, which actually shut down a long time ago, but I've never forgotten playing that. It was just so much fun. I've always been pretty into Soul Calibur as well, like played Soul Calibur 2 in the arcade as well. But as much of a soft spot as I have for the rest of these games in their own way, it's always been Tekken. And I think it's kind of a shame I didn't go as far as I did with 7. I played as much as I could at the time when I had the game. But then, like a bunch of DLC characters kept dropping after Eliza, like all these Leroy, etc. I just never got to play them. The Tekken 7 did have bowling though, that was fun. I always enjoyed Tekken bowling. Unfortunately, that's not in this one. Instead we get Tekken Ball, which I've never played before. I didn't really like it, to be honest. There's Arcade Quest, which was, you know, like these little emoji Wii U, me, you, Nintendo looking avatar things. It was... My problem with that mode is it was kind of a little cheap. I thought it was really cool once I got a little bit into it. At first I wasn't really that impressed, but I think once actually do it and sit down and give it a chance, it's pretty good. Pretty much all the other modes they have besides the story. You know, online is online, okay. Ranked, it's all the same ranking, Dan's and this and that, Caillou's. Yeah, there's a lot of content. You know, there's a lot to do, a lot to keep you busy if you really want to do that stuff. That's the thing though, is that... But the bulk of it was, I would say, the story for sure, because you could definitely tell that's where a lot of the focus was, because the multiplayer is it's gonna exist because it's there. That's kind of end game. Once you finish everything, go do that, whatever. Most replayability, replay value. But the story was kind of all I really needed. It took me a couple days. And then I went and did some arcade quests and all that, because it was cool to... It was interesting, like, I like the layout. It really reminded me of Street Fighter 6. Which I never played that, never will, but... I just love that kind of, like, hub area. You're, like, these characters, and... these little... arcade cabinets everywhere, and just Tekken all over the place, and... it's just fun. It's like a fun little pretend world to be in. Like, what if you were really into the gaming scene so much to the point where you're playing these arcade boxes, and you know, all your friends play the same game, they're all fighting game people. You know, probably you're Japanese in Japan, you're going all these cool places and doing these... It's just fun, like being... I can imagine what it's like to be a part of that community and that camaraderie and the bonding and the friendships and the... Because watching pro tournaments is so fun. You're traveling, you know, you're making buddies, but it's no joke. It's a lot of work, it's expensive, it takes a lot of dedication and commitment and consistency, and I just always thought that lifestyle was pretty sweet. So you can almost live that through the arcade quest, which is kind of nice, but... It was just fun. I think it was a good direction for them to go in. I think it offered a little bit more to the game, other than just kind of the bare essentials that should be there. It was kind of like a nice way for Tekken 8 to stand out for what it is because it offers exactly that, it's not just like any other fighting game. The longer these fighting games go on, the more I think there just is to do, versus like back then it's like just fighting and do some arcade and that was about it. Bare minimum story, if anything at all. You need to get some pictures with some subtitles and some music or something. Like just the older stuff, but now they're just so capable of doing so much more. Especially with that next gen price after it. Tekken 8 was only next gen. Like no last gen stuff. Which is kind of nice that they prioritize it. Like, hey, this is our modern console, it's been out for a minute now. We can really utilize this technology and bring out the best that we can within the game of what it's capable of, its power. And that's nice to see, because there's a lot of games that are still kind of tailoring to last gen, which I think is, you know, it's definitely not a bad thing. It's just, once you do become a next gen owner, which is most people now, / PC, okay, whatever, Windows, it's a very different different thing. So it's just rewarding to see that kind of pay off and to wait, and it's like, hey man, I got the console, PS5, PlayStation 5, you did your part, now you get to get a good, nice quality, big production game out of it. This is one of those games that it's not... Tekken 7 felt the exact same way. I've been noticing that they did Tekken, what, 1 and 2 for PS1. What, 3, 4, and 5, something like that for PS2, maybe? I don't really know, honestly. Tekken 3 might have been PS1. Tekken 4 for... Yeah, 4 and 5 PS2, definitely. That's when I played the most of it. And I think Tekken 6 was PS3, which is fair. Tekken 7 PS4, and now we get Tekken 8 for PS5. So, you know, at first they were kind of bundled because it's just different time, things are different. But now it's like they're having one Tekken game each generation, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it's so effective because it's like, hey man, as long as Tekken's still alive at all, it only needs that one game. It's not pumping a game out every year. It's not trying to it's making the games that it does put out really worth it, and they are worth it. What they give you, that can last for a long years. They obviously keep it alive with their online community. They're pretty good at gradually releasing new characters to play. Like even Tekken 7 today is still, to me, feels so new. Just it's so fresh and so like all the graphics and the particle effects and like it's just looks so good. Like it ages very well. Obviously, if you go back and play the original stuff, it's pretty rough, but even just from watching it, it's super blocky, obviously. But to see them come such a long way, and to see where they've come from, and to live through it, it's insane. Like Tekken 8, it's great. Gameplay is good.
Fight.
Unfortunately for me, everyone looks a little weird. Paul looks a little weird with his hair. This is just people being nitpicky, but I feel like as a fan, I think it's kind of necessary. Everyone's way too big and bulky, like Street Fighter 5. They're just huge. They look weird. Nina looks like a Karen now. Like the characters used to be hot. They used to be very slim and like they just look normal. That's one of many reasons why I like Tekken, is because like all the characters are just very attractive, and here they're just kind of like this giant. Like even the girls are huge. Like what happened? I don't know why they went with that aesthetic. I guess once you get used to it, you don't really care. You're like kind of whatever, but. Like, dude, even Tekken 7 looked fantastic. Just all the characters, the designs, the models. That's Tekken. These really hot, attractive, lethal, deadly fighters that are kicking ass, and now they're just all like fucking meatheads, and I don't know. It's a kind of a dumb thing to point out, but hey. Yeah, the combat was cool. It's very aggressive, very fast. Obviously I haven't played Tekken in a while, so it was kind of took me a while to get used to the groove, but I've been playing other stuff, Mortal Kombat here and there, so I just kind of go off of that usually. Yeah, a lot of stuff you learn in Mortal Kombat is probably not going to carry over well here, but it's all kind of relevant, more or less the same. Just some basic button combinations, it's fine. Yeah, it was a lot of rush downs, it was intense, very fast gameplay, but it's so enjoyable, it feels so good, it's so satisfying. You know, if you do well enough, if you know your way around a video game, like as an amateur, you can get through the story, whatever, just fine. Obviously, picking the characters you like definitely helps. I don't know, there's a lot in this game. There's customization was good. It wasn't great. it was very bare bones and pretty minimum. It wasn't as fun as like Tekken 5's customization, for example, but it was still really. If you spend enough time, you can make some pretty cool characters, and it just takes a minute. Colors, because you can change the color of like every single thing on your outfit. And that's probably the most reasonable thing, because everything else is kind of just whatever. It felt pretty bare bones though. I remember Tekken 5. It's been a long time, but you could just make your characters look so goofy, but that's what made it so fun. But obviously things change, and this game does have a more darker approach to it, a darker tone, which is fine. I like what they did with the logo. It's like a chain, like Tekken 8. Very clever. Yeah, it's still Kazuya and Jin fighting each other. I mean, yeah. I think dude, the family drama cracks me up, because I'm like, dude, y'all need to just like figure it the fuck out, because I swear to God, that's all they know and do is breathe is fighting, which is just like, hey, this is what these guys do, this is who they are, I get that, but like, go settle down. You know, have a family, or which they mostly do. A lot of this is family bloodline based, right? Go make some friends, dude. Just hang out. Go do some karaoke. You know what I mean? These guys need to relax, dude. I feel like there's always like, I mean, someone's always causing trouble. It's probably Kazuya, if anything, right? If not, Heihachi, somebody. Jin himself. You know, having emo boy problems with his devil powers and whatnot. I don't know, it's a little frustrating that, like, Tekken doesn't really evolve or grow. Like, they kind of just stay the same, which in this case works because it's so solid that it just, all these years later, no one's complaining. But it would be nice to see Tekken, I don't know, it's just a thought, like, take some kind of other direction or something, right? Everyone still looks the same, they haven't aged a bit. Because I realize it's a fighting game and I get that, but I like it when, like, you can take what is a fighting game. Mortal Kombat's done very well at that. But they're obviously Warner Brothers, they're a lot more movie show. They have the budget for it, whatever. And it's a lot more westernized, things like that, so like, okay, whatever. But I love seeing Tekken, I love being included into the world, and I like knowing stuff. Who are these people, and what do they do in their spare time, and how do they have fun? Like, everyone's so different, but so similar, and I don't know, but I'll take what I can get. It's like, hey, we just got a new game, I'm happy. This really makes up for not playing Tekken 7 as much either, because I mean, it's always a game you can just go jump back into, you can collect stuff, grind for gold, online if that is your thing, whatever. It's definitely worth it, definitely worth that next gen price point, because there's just, like, just playing itself feels like a luxury because it's just so good. And then you get all the content on top of it and you're kind of spoiled. You know, Tekken 8's gonna stay relevant until Tekken 9 comes out. I mean, Tekken 7 was still going hella strong up until recently. I don't know how it's like now, but it should be. Because once the sequel comes out, that last game is usually pretty dead. Like, no one's playing it. And whether it's for a first playthrough or not, like story-wise, whatever, the only good fighting game stories I think is Mortal Kombat and Injustice, because they actually put like a decent kind of story in there. And obviously a lot of people that play fighting games, they don't just want to sit there and story this, story that, they just want to fight. I get it. You know, they got hype, they're hyper and have all this pent up energy and adrenaline, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, it's a good time. You can't really go wrong. Another thing is, a lot of the music from the older games are in this, which is really cool. I didn't mess around with that too much. But all the games, you can pretty much listen to only Tekken 5, which is my favorite soundtrack. But even some of the new music, or some of the music I've just never heard, is really good. The default Tekken 8 music looks great. Or it sounds great. You don't even have to really change anything. I always like it when new games come out, or a remake or something, and kind of appreciating what they give you that's new instead of just depending on the old stuff. Or it's at least nice to check out, but it's definitely not necessary. Just be happy with kind of the more modern, up-to-date, futuristic things they give you now, and make use of it and get your money's worth and make it worth your time. So there's a lot of other games to play out there. You know, Mortal Kombat 1 came out not long ago either. It's the big two are Mortal Kombat and Tekken easily. And as well as Tekken's been doing, I really want to see it do better. I want to see it surpass Mortal Kombat, you know? Like, give it more exposure. But it always kind of has had that underdog fan base, so, which isn't a bad thing. It is obviously a Japanese game, so it's not going to be as popular over here, unfortunately. Which is kind of a shame, but just how it is. Yeah, Tekken 8, pretty damn good. That's about it. But yeah, T8. Fight!